All right, for flexing out bendy number 15, we're going to do the pairing exercise that goes along with the spinal segmented mobilization that we did yesterday, except we're going to switch it up now. Yesterday we focused on the lumbar spine. Now we're going to focus on the thoracic spine. So just as yesterday, we immobilized the upper back in order to work on the lower back. And now we're going to immobilize the lower back so that we can work on the upper back. This is what will translate into true body control, just like we're aiming for true flexibility, right? Which is your cold flexibility, your permanent flexibility. So we're not going to actually see, you know, this is, I'm sorry, this is not one of those good feel good static hold stretches. Okay, we do have some included in this month, but this one is yet again a possibly excruciating one where you're not going to see a lot of movement, you're not going to feel like a lot of movement. But keep in mind, the more awkward you feel, the more frustrating it seems like nothing much is moving, whether in my demo or when you're doing it for yourself. Chances are you're doing it correctly. Okay, so we have, oh goodness, that was Klone. So we have, let me try to fix this. So we have a fairly simple setup. However, that setup is everything. And that setup might feel almost, you know, like you're doing it wrong in the beginning, or that you have to constantly fix your setup along the way before we even initiate the move. That's okay. That's how difficult it is. Imagine trying to move one vertebrae at a time. Okay, so not only does it take a lot of control, it really wouldn't necessarily be a lot of movement, right? Because we're not, you know, doing huge rotational moves or anything like that. Okay, so we're on the floor on our knees. We do not have to have our shoes on. I do have mine. So the initial setup, okay, is that we're going to be in a quasi-quadruped position. So the most important thing is that you're able to have your hands flat on the floor, but we want to get our bum to our heel if we can. In none of these moves should you feel any sort of pinching in your pelvis or in your hip flexor area. But if you feel like you're restricted, then one thing you could try here is to just open up that knees a little bit more. Okay, so that might help you. But let's get ourselves in position here where we have our hands flat on the floor, arms are straight. Okay, I'll tell you when we're ready with the setup. We're still working on setup. So arms are straight, we're pushing our bum back to be able to get as close to the top of our heels as possible. So the full heel sit is here, where we're actually able to rest our bum on top of those heels. But as you reach forward and actually get the hands on the floor, it may pop up a little bit. Okay, that's fine. But you're getting that bum as close to your heels as possible while you have your hands flat on the floor. Okay, so remember, we're going to immobilize our lumbar spine in order to work on the thoracic spine. So in order to do so, we'll first start out, get ourselves in neutral, meaning we're taking out the arch of that lumbar spine, right? So get your abs engaged and get yourself in neutral. From there, we're going to actually then flex into that lumbar spine. So as you try to round your tuck and tuck the pelvis under, careful that your whole spine doesn't come with it, okay? So just focus on getting the pelvis tucked under. Now, when you do that and you feel your entire spine kind of rounding, I want you to engage your shoulder blades, and in the opposite manner of the prior pose, we want to actually retract the shoulder blades. So take your hands and put a little pressure on the floor as if you're trying to screw the hands into the floor in this manner, okay? That will help retract the shoulder blades together. We're still on setup, okay? Do you see Klone here? I call him Crazy Klone now. I got so many scratches because of this little one. All right, so we're going to take the shoulder blades together, tuck that pelvis under, so this part of the back is rounded. Try to keep the mid back neutral and retract the shoulder blades. Now we move. We're going to focus on that area between the shoulder blades all the way up to the neck, and try to move that and extend that one vertebrae at a time without losing that fixation of the lumbar spine. So one vertebrae at a time, which means that basically your chin rising up would be the last segment. And try to extend as much as you can, and you should feel that intense contraction between your shoulder blades. Once you get to where you feel like it's a full extension and you haven't let go of this lumbar spine, that you have it immobilized still, you can continue on and rise up onto the fingertips, again keeping the shoulder blades retracted, again keeping the lumbar spine rounded. It should feel like you're cramping up, okay? Then you're doing it correctly. So if you do this just like 30 seconds for, you know, that whole slow extension, and you also do it twice, and then you do the prior post, the lumbar spine mobilization twice, then you could do this whole set of drills, right, in about 2-3 minutes, okay? Now, there probably isn't going to be cause for most people, or reason or opportunity for most people to work on something like this, okay? Unless, you know, if you're a dancer or martial artist or something where you know, part of your training is to do a lot of such drilling. So this may seem like really awkward and frustrating, like there's not even a lot of movement going on. What the heck? But remember, this actually is a regression from the ultimate ability to work on that spinal mobilization vertebrae by vertebrae, which I'm actually not even going to bring up here, because that gets ridiculous, and it's best done with a partner's help, okay? Because we want not only a tactile cue right directly on each vertebrae, but a bird's eye view of what's going on, okay? So understand that this is not something that is, you know, probably like going to be presented in the mainstream by